What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Simon Says. It has been a very long time since the last time I made my video. That's my fault. I apologize for that. I was kind of rethinking how I wanted to shape my videos and things like that, and then had some things come up just personally. Nothing drastic, nothing major. Just I was thinking about my future. You know, what I want to do, places I want to get to, and so I kind of put this series on hold, and I apologize for that. So if you're someone who's been watching this, I appreciate you for following and watching these videos, and I'm back now. All right. So this time that I took away from making these videos really opened my eyes up to some of the things that God expects from us, you know, as his children. And it really put into perspective how much, I don't want to say how much he asks of us, but how much he expects out of us, you know, like what it truly means to be a Christian, to follow his word, the true weight of, you know, simply living for Christ. And I know some of you might not be Christian, but even if you're not a Christian, his word still applies, you know. And I mean that in the sense of like, you know, there's a lot of good takeaways out of the Bible and out of God's word that you can apply to your life and it still work. So one of those lessons that I kind of learned recently was about being faithful. Now, I know that we can think of being faithful usually in a romantic space, and in a sense, it does apply. But I mean this more so in the sense of practicing our faith in God, right? So a while back, I had heard a clip of a sermon by this pastor who was having issues with his vocal cords. I think there was something going on. I don't know what type of issue it was, but it was bad enough to where he was having a hard time projecting his voice and preaching, but he was doing it anyway. He was faithful in his preaching, is what he was called to do. So as he's preaching the message, he's preaching about healing, and you can hear the raspiness in his voice. And as he's preaching, as he keeps going, you hear how much more clear his voice becomes. You know, where he had a bit of a raspy tone, now it's becoming really, really clear. And even he picked up on this, and you can hear how choked up he was at the realization that he was just healed while preaching on healing, right? And number one, this is an awesome display of God's power. This is an awesome display of God healing those. But also number two, I think this is a perfect example of what it looks like when we're faithful. See, for me, when I kind of took a break, right? I had the mentality of there are things that I want to face within my life. There are things I want to address. There are things I need to focus my energy towards. And I need to, you know, make these things right so that I can come back and feel more, how can I say this? Feel more, man, I'm having a hard time finding the right word, right? Feel more qualified, right? To, you know, make this series and to teach and this, that, and the third. But the trap that I wound up falling into is that, like, as I was doing things to try to feel more qualified, you know, trying to, you know, open myself more and learn more, I found myself, you know, trying to remake the videos, trying to start up the lessons again, but then it wasn't good enough. It wasn't I didn't feel like this is the word I was supposed to put out. I didn't feel like this is what I needed to, this is the video I needed to make, so I just didn't do it. This was like for almost a year. I don't remember when the last video I made was, but it was a while ago. It was a while ago. But, you know, then the realization came to me, you know, which is that it's not us that does the changing. And I know that a lot of pastors, and, you know, we say that a lot of times, but that it's not us that changes, it's God that changes us. But it really got kind of clear to me how he changes us. He changes us through the faithfulness of us practicing our faith, of us being good disciples, of us witnessing to other people, following his instructions, you know, using the Bible as our guide, praying and fasting and reading the word and all these different things. That is how he changes us. It's the active participation. And if we've been called to some form of ministry or some work or something like that, then that is also part of our life. We are to do that faithfully, to be committed to that. And so for me, I found that when I stepped away from this series, it was hard for me to actually feel like I'm getting even more qualified, because the one thing that I felt I was supposed to do is the one thing that I wasn't doing. And so, you know, with being faithful, it's simply what I really want to share with you tonight is that, Oftentimes life will come at you, and life will give you reasons to walk away from the path that you are supposed to be on, the path that you believe that you're on. Oftentimes, it might be relationships, it might be friendships, it might be a change in your circumstances, or whether it's financially or just personally or mentally, job-wise, whatever, right? Oftentimes life will just happen, and we'll find little reasons to make these changes to our lives, or to make these changes to the direction that we're on, and say, oh, I was on this path, but I can no longer go down this path because of X, Y, and Z. I can no longer reach for this one particular specific thing because of this reason or that reason. And I find that so many times when we do that, in the moment, it makes sense to us. It's a valid reason. But when we look back at the decision that we made, I can't help but wonder how many of us wind up regretting that. I heard of, you'll hear stories of people who, they were going for a certain path in their life, whether it was an aspiration of theirs, a dream of theirs. And they're like, I was going towards this path, but then I met failure. And so I didn't pursue it any further. I went this direction. I took the safe route, or I took a route that was much more within my control. And I decided that I'm going to go this way. And now a couple years down the line, I'm miserable. I feel as if I missed a lot of time when I could have been fulfilled in the trial and error of pursuing a path that I found to be worthy. And, this is especially true with God, which is we're not always going to have that success that, our generation, our society calls success. It's not always going to be glamorous. It's not always going to be fancy. Sometimes it might just be that we struggle and we overcome, and we struggle and we overcome, and we struggle and we overcome. But at the same time, through that process, our faith becomes stronger. Our confidence becomes more stronger, right? And I know that, we should always have that faith in God and lean on Him. But it's also important that we have confidence in ourselves. Not confidence to the point where we believe we're capable of anything. No, not at all. But a confidence that at least says, hey, I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. I know the things that I can do, and I know the things that I can't do. I know I know that the path that I'm on is purposeful and it is just. And if I have to leave this path, then let it be because God has made another way for me, not because something happened in my life and I chose to walk away. And that's the reason, and that's one of the lessons that I'm learning now, and which is just, stay on that path. Be faithful to the things that you've committed to, whether it's your family, whether it's an opportunity that arose, whether it is, a job that you've been given an opportunity to. Maybe it's not the job that you want, but be faithful to it. Stay committed until something else comes along. Because oftentimes when you leave of your own volition without any sort of, I don't want to say knowledge, but any sort of understanding, I guess, maybe the wrong word, but it's the word I'll use for right now. When you make such a big decision to change something up, and you don't know whether it's something that God wants you to do, or you're doing it because it's safer to go that way, I think oftentimes we'll wind up regretting that decision. We'll wind up being dissatisfied with the results, right? I wanna leave you with this. We just had Bible study tonight, and the word that was preached, we went over Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, I believe. It says that faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence of things not seen. And another verse we had was Romans chapter 5. I want to say it was verses 3 to 5. It talks about how, faith is built by tribulation. Tribulation works experience. Tribulation works patience. Patience works experience. Experience works hope. And hope is the main substance in faith. What am I talking about in this little spiel? What I'm saying is sometimes in life, in order to strengthen our faith, to have a stronger resolve, to build that confidence within ourselves, we have to be in those situations where we struggle and overcome. And we also build up our patience, we build up our experience, and more importantly, we have hope. And I want to invite you to have that hope with me. I hope that things will get better. I hope that, I can look back and be proud of the decisions that I've made in my life. And I hope that you'll do the same as well too. And I want to encourage you that whatever path that you're on, whether you believe in God or not, whatever path that you're on in life, if you feel that it is something that you've been called to do, if you feel like it's something that's purposeful, if you feel like that's something that's worth your time, be faithful to it. Don't stray just because life came and messed up your plan. Maybe you have to start over, but start over. You may see success far greater than anything you could have ever imagined, or you may get to a place where maybe you're not as successful as the richest people in the world, or as the people on your Instagram, Facebook, TikTok page, or whatever. But you have enough to meet your needs, to meet the needs of your family, to live comfortably, and you're fulfilled in your life. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Again, I apologize for not making my videos in such a long time, but I appreciate you guys for watching it in the past. And to whoever watches this, I love you. I'm praying for you, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Deuces.